Call this meeting to order. I'll put my sunglasses on first. The invocation is going to be given by Abdul Rahman Sharif from the Tawheed Islamic Center of Wilmington.
With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the mighty, the wise, the most high, possessor of greatness, giver of all that is good, acceptor of what only is good, we stand and humbly beseech your divine providence upon this New Hanover County Board of Commissioners meeting. Bless our county commissioners, department officials, and staff with the pursuit of excellence in the management of their responsibilities. Bless New Hanover County to remain vibrant in its attractiveness for tourism and commercial investments of high quality of life potential. Endow our commissioners with the best political and financial acumen as they navigate the waters of budget restraints. Grant them wisdom and logic, and bless them to follow logic to its logical conclusion in their decision-making process. Bless them in the efforts of transparency, openness, and mutual consultation in the conduct of county affairs. And when this meeting comes to an end, bless those present with a safe return to their intended destination. Amen.
Thank you, sir.
Please face the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anything anybody wants to pull off the consent agenda?
I move the consent agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First thing we have today is presentation of service awards and introduction of new employees.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to the board, and I'm happy to report that we have no retirees this month. That's always a good measure. We enjoy it when people come to work and never leave. I hope you'll come forward and recognize some folks that have achieved significant milestones in service, and I appreciate Bodine reminding me that this is kind of a hallmark watershed moment. The first folks that we're going to recognize this morning joined our organization in the throes of COVID. If you remember, 5 years ago in March, the world changed fundamentally, and it's changed permanently, and these are the folks that chose to join us just as that virus was taking control of our country and our society, and I'm so thankful they stuck through it and are here to be recognized with 5 years of service. And so these are the first folks that have joined the team, and as we go forward for the next few months, you're going to meet, maybe for the first time, the folks that came to work in what I would argue is the most challenging time certainly our community has faced. And so this is a special honor to recognize our folks this morning. And so when I call your name, if you would please come forward. I'd like to be the first to shake your hand. Thank you for the work that you do, and then invite you to meet with the board. And so we've got 4 folks this morning that we're going to recognize at this watershed moment. And the first in human resources is Lucinda Smith. Lucinda, thank you for coming to work in the middle of COVID or on the onset and sticking with us. Commissioners, also with 5 years of service this morning, we want to recognize from Facilities Management, Laura Jenkins. Laura, thank you for coming to work in March of 2020. Also with 5 years of service in social services, Jennifer Doms. Jennifer, thank you for coming to work with us and sticking it out. Also, with 5 years of service in finance, we want to recognize Jacob Shackelford. Jacob, thank you for joining. Commissioners, we're going to move forward to 10 years of service and an editorial comment with no value. But 5 years ago, I would have stood here, recognized folks that were joining the team and would not have needed readers. So how things change over the course of time. And so we're going to move forward and recognize folks with 10 years of service. And first this morning from Soil and Water, Drew Harrison. Drew, congratulations. Thank you for being with us. Commissioners also with 5 years of service in fire services, James Williams, I'm sorry. James, thank you. Did I say 5? I'm so sorry. 10 years of service. Drew and James have 10 years of service. So clearly the readers don't work all the time. I apologize. Thank you, sir. Oh, please. Yeah, come on up. Come on. Let's do it. Look, can we try it again just to reset from the very beginning? Please, come up and join. Please do, yes. That was clearly 10 years, and again, I apologize. Now, this is 15 years of service in permitting J.D. Limburger. J.D., congratulations. Thank you for what you do. Now, not my mistake. Most of them are, this one is not. Also, with 10 years of service, Virginia Donovan in the Health Department. Virginia, thank you, and Bo was quick on his feet. Thank you so very much.
Can the family come
really not going according to plan this morning. So we did 15 years. That was a great 10-year recognition. We did 15. We're going to do 20, and my sheet shows 3 names in yellow. If there's 4, bring me a new sheet. But 20 years of service in our sheriff's office, Michael Early. Michael, congratulations. Thank you, sir, for what you do. Commissioners also with 20 years of service in the sheriff's office, Jerry Brewer. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for what you do. Commissioners also with 20 years of service in Health and Human Services, Bonita Moore. Bonita, thank you. Congratulations. So Commissioners, that whole thing was awkward. I apologize, but outstanding people, 5 years to 20 years. If you would, please lead us in another round of applause. These folks so much deserve it. So it's an honor to recognize folks that have joined the team in the last month or so, and look forward to introducing them to the community and the board. And so when I call your name, if you would stand, we want to give you a proper welcome to the county. And so we're going to begin in the sheriff's office with Zachariah Alcorn. Thank you, sir. Zachariah, thank you for joining the team. In risk management, Chris Barnes. I have often wondered how he does that and the superintendent's job at the same time. I've wondered that. Thank you for taking on both duties. In the Register of Deeds, Maria Bautista. Thank you, ma'am. In the Senior Resource Center, Annie Rascali. Annie, thank you for joining the team. And as a fire captain, Matthew Sellers. Matthew, thank you, sir. Also in the Register of Deeds, Courtney Smith. Courtney, thank you. In our tax office, Ben Stallings. Ben, thank you, sir, for joining. In public health, Amy Wilcox. Amy, thank you for coming to join the team. Also in the tax office, Virginia Gallagher. Virginia, thank you. And in the sheriff's office, Kelly Kehoe. Kelly, thank you for joining the team. So commissioners, we talk about it every month. We only hire the best and the brightest, and these folks join the team because they are incredibly gifted, they're incredibly talented, but at the end of the day, they have a passion for public service, and that's what it takes to be hired into the organization. And I think even more importantly, it's what it takes to be here 5 years, 20 years, or to even the retirements that we did not have to recognize this morning. So if you would, please give us another round of applause for everybody who works for New Hanover County. Thank you very much.
microphones. Next is adoption of a resolution recognizing the efforts of the Greater Wilmington Chamber of Commerce Education Foundation through the Leadership Wilmington program. I'm sorry, that was not what that was. Consideration of a proclamation to recognize New Hanover Medal of Honor honorees for National Medal of Honor Day, March 25th, 2025. Mr. Scalise?
Thank you very much. I'll go, I don't know, what's your preference, Mr. Chairman? Would you prefer to let Kate speak or for me to read the resolution first?
Just read it.
Yes, sir. New Hanover County Board of Commissioners Medal of Honor Day Proclamation. Whereas the Congressional Medal of Honor is the nation's highest award for individual valor and has been awarded to more than 3,500 people since 1863, and whereas in 1991, Congress established Medal of Honor Day to foster public appreciation and recognition of Medal of Honor recipients, and whereas New Hanover County has strong connections to 4 Medal of Honor recipients, 2 of whom died in service to their country and were awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously, and whereas today the Board of Commissioners recognizes the service of local Medal of Honor recipients Edward A. Anderson, Charles Patrick Murray Jr., William D. Halliburton Jr., and Eugene Ashley Jr. And whereas Rear Admiral Edwin A. Anderson was the first New Hanover County native to be awarded the Medal of Honor. Anderson was born in Wilmington in 1860, graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1882, and became a career Navy officer serving in the Spanish-American War and World War I until his retirement in 1924. He was awarded the Medal of Honor for his service in Veracruz, Mexico in 1914. Anderson's, quote, indifference to heavy fire to which he himself was exposed at the head of his regiment showed him to be fearless and courageous in battle, end quote. He died in 1933 and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. And whereas Colonel Charles Patrick Murray Jr. was the second New Hanover County native to receive the Medal of Honor, born in Maryland but raised in Wilmington, Murray graduated from New Hanover High School in 1938. A career military officer, he served in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Murray earned the Medal of Honor as a first lieutenant in France in December 1944, putting himself in the line of fire in enemy territory. He killed at least 20 German soldiers, capturing 10 and wounded many more. Despite being wounded, he continued to lead his men. According to his citation, he, quote, stopped a counterattack, established an advanced position against formidable odds, and provided an inspiring example for the men of his command, end quote. Colonel Murray died in 2011 and is buried in Arlington National Cemetery. And whereas William D. Halliburton Jr. was the third New Hanover County native awarded the Medal of Honor, sacrificing his life in combat on May 10, 1945 in Okinawa, Japan. A 1943 graduate of New Hanover High School, Halliburton served as a pharmacist second class in the U.S. Navy. He was killed while shielding and tending to a wounded Marine. His citation states that he, quote, shielded the fallen fighter with his own body and persevered in his efforts until he himself sustained mortal wounds and collapse, heroically sacrificing himself that his comrade might live, end quote. Halliburton is buried in the National Memorial Cemetery of the Pacific. And whereas Sergeant Eugene Ashley Jr. was the fourth New Hanover County native awarded the Medal of Honor. Born in Wilmington, Ashley joined the U.S. Army in 1951 and was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions in the Vietnam War. He led 5 gallant charges against enemy forces during a 1968 battle, demonstrating extraordinary courage. His citation states the resolute valor which he led 5 gallant charges placed critical diversionary pressure on the attacking enemy. Ashley's bravery at the cost of his life was in the highest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon himself, his unit, and the U.S. Army. Sergeant Ashley is buried at Rockfish Memorial Park in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And whereas the Board of Commissioners urges the community to learn more about these heroic individuals and recognize their valor, service, and contributions to the nation, now therefore be it proclaimed by the New Hanover County Board of Commissioners that March 25th, 2025 will be recognized as Medal of Honor Day in New Hanover County, adopted this 24th day of March 2025, William E. Rivenbark, Chair. Thank you all very much for allowing me to read that. I know that it took quite a bit of time, but some things are worth taking quite a bit of time on, including this recognition. Kate, please do say some words, but I hope that we will recognize Mr. Ben Ivy for making this suggestion for us to look into this matter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm Kate Ballion, and I serve as Director of Cape Fear Museum, and I'm here with Museum Historian Dr. Jan Davidson and Museum Advisory Board, our Chair Eileen O'Malley and Vice Chair Rick Andrews, and Ben Ivy indeed was the board member who suggested that we recognize our 4 Medal of Honorees. Cape Fear Museum of History and Science is dedicated to inspiring and engaging visitors with the history, science, and cultures of the Lower Cape Fear region and to preserving the stories of our community. Through our exhibits, programs, and collections, we strive to preserve the rich heritage of our community and recognize those who have shaped it. Today, we're highlighting the legacy of 4 remarkable Medal of Honor recipients from New Hanover County: Rear Admiral Edwin A. Anderson, Colonel Charles Patrick Murray Jr., Pharmacist Mate 2nd Class William D. Halliburton Jr., and Sergeant Eugene Ashley Jr. These brave men exemplified extraordinary courage and service to our nation, with 2 making the ultimate sacrifice. Their stories remind us of the highest ideals of duty and valor, and receiving the Medal of Honor represents the pinnacle of military distinction. Today, we are joined by family members of Colonel Charles Murray, including his niece, Amber Smith, who serves as our Senior Resource Center Director. Their presence reflects the pride and gratitude our community holds for Colonel Murray's legacy. I would like to thank Commissioner Dane Scalise, who serves on the Cape Fear Museum Advisory Board, along with our other board members, for their support in sharing the remarkable history of our community. Cape Fear Museum is proud to showcase this proclamation to connect our community with the rich history and culture of the Lower Cape Fear. By honoring our local heroes and preserving their stories, we ensure their legacy lives on to inspire future generations. Thank you for your continued support of Cape Fear Museum.
Thank you, Kate. Mr. Chairman, I move the resolution or the proclamation.
I'd like to just say something.
Please, sir.
I think it was 2000, Colonel Murray and his wife came here for the Azalea Festival, and I fed him at my restaurant.
Wow.
And when he got back, he lived in Augusta or Columbia, South Carolina. He sent me a nice letter and the citation, and I read it once a week. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. How anybody could do that. So we appreciate you. Anybody else want to say anything?
I concur with you. I knew Charles Murray in particular, and what a tremendous individual.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And if I might, Mr. Chair, I'd like the public to know that we do have facilities in New Hanover County named after each one of these medal recipients. So we have a couple schools, 3 schools, and a park named after them. So certainly appreciate their dedication and service.
And roads, too.
Yeah, a lot of Hanover graduates, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Ben put those in there on purpose.
Is everybody in favor of adopting the
Yes.
proclamation?
Second.
Second the motion? Oh, second.
Sorry, just a second.
Okay. Thank you. Can you get a picture now?
We should probably take a picture.
Kate, come back.
Next is consideration of resolution in support of awarding the Medal of Honor to retired Major James Capers, Jr.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and read the resolution first. Frank and Major Capers, thank you very much for joining us here today.
Thank
you. Resolution in support of awarding the Medal of Honor to retired Major James Capers, Jr. Whereas the Medal of Honor is the nation's highest military decoration, awarded to fewer than 3,600 individuals in U.S. history for acts of extraordinary valor, unwavering courage, and selfless service beyond the call of duty. And whereas retired Major James Capers, Jr., distinguished United States Marine Corps veteran, displayed exceptional heroism and unwavering leadership during the Vietnam War, particularly from March 31st to April 3rd, 1967, in Quang Tri Province, where he courageously led his force reconnaissance team against an entrenched and numerically superior enemy force. And whereas during this engagement, Major Capers and his team were ambushed by a numerically superior enemy force, sustaining devastating casualties. Despite his own severe injuries, he refused to yield, maintaining command, orchestrating life-saving air and artillery strikes with pinpoint accuracy, and relentlessly engaging the enemy to ensure his fellow Marines' survival. And whereas, despite suffering multiple life-threatening wounds, including severe shrapnel injuries and a broken leg, Major Capers continued leading counteroffensives, shielding his Marines, and ensuring their survival until the last of his men were evacuated. And whereas Major Capers' extraordinary valor was initially recognized with a Silver Star, but his actions on the battlefield far exceed the criteria for that distinction, military leaders, fellow service members, and congressional representatives have continuously advocated for the Medal of Honor to properly reflect the magnitude of his heroism. And whereas a growing coalition of national veterans organizations, including the Fleet Reserve Association, the American Legion, the Navy League, Veterans of Foreign Wars, Société La Quarante et Huit, and the Vietnam Veterans Association, along with local governments such as the City of Wilmington, North Carolina, Onslow County, North Carolina, the City of Bishopville, South Carolina, and Lee County, South Carolina, have formally recognized his sacrifice and passed resolutions in support of awarding Major Capers the Medal of Honor. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the New Hanover County Board of Commissioners expresses its appreciation for the extraordinary bravery and sacrifice of retired Major James Capers, Jr., and supports the continued efforts to award him the Congressional Medal of Honor, ensuring that his legacy of valor and dedication to country is honored for generations to come. Signed, William E. Rivenbark, Chair. Frank, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning, Chairman, Vice Chair, fellow commissioners. I shouldn't say fellow, my commissioners. As it was stated, I'm here today in behalf of the Fleet Reserve Association, Branch 299. I'm their secretary, but I am also a member of every one of those other organizations that Commissioner Zappel spoke to. Also past president of our New Hanover County Veterans Council. And as a team member of Major Capers' Medal of Honor team, I am happy to represent all of us from across the nation and globally to be here with you today. We really appreciate the fact that you're willing to do a resolution for my good friend here, Major James Capers. He is an extraordinary hero, and I know that Commissioner Zappel's already given you a brief, but I'd like to tell you just a little bit more. This man, at the age of 17, enlisted into the United States Marine Corps, and he went into something called the Force Reconnaissance. Specialized group, and they were being trained to be embedded into the jungles of Vietnam, to be stealthy, and to be able to take on superior forces, even though they were only 6 to 8 sometimes. With that, Major Capers has been involved in at least 51 missions, some of those classified. The last mission was in an area called Fulok. And whereas this man had already received 2 wounds, he received an additional 17 wounds. Those 17 wounds are why he has to take a seat. But in Fulok, he was blown up. His dog King was immediately killed because King tried to help shield some of the shrapnel from a claymore. Every member of Team Broad-Minded was shot, and the major probably received the most of all the injuries. And as he even tried to get all of his individuals on the chopper, he actually returned back into fire to try to give them safe passage. And of course, being a great team, Team Broad-Minded would not let that chopper leave without him. So they eventually went and pulled him away, even though all he had left was probably a 45 with 2 rounds left. And they got him back on the chopper, and they all medevaced off. How he survived after the amount of injuries, he was shot in both legs. His stomach was ripped open, and again, several shot wounds. But they immediately got him transported to Japan, where then later he went to Alaska. And while on the tarmac, waiting to get back towards Baltimore, he actually had someone urinate in his face while he was there in a gurney on the tarmac. And that's because that's the way America was treating its Vietnam veterans back in those days. Had no idea what this man had just gone through. Anyways, he did make it to Bethesda. Now, I will say that there was a man named General Hotsmith who visited the major, kissed him on the forehead, and thanked him for his service and told him he was putting him in for the Medal of Honor. And as fate would have it, within just a couple months, the general got shot down himself in a helicopter. So everything went still. As the years moved on, there had been a couple of attempts, and without getting into all those reasons why he had not received it, there is a team of individuals from across the U.S. and the globe who have a passion to make sure that this man receives his Medal of Honor. Most recently, we were successful with getting 47 signatures of our congressional and senatorial officials to the president's desk asking for this. Right now, we're a little bit of a stalemate as we have to now get Congress members to again sign to give us a waiver on the 5-year statute of limitations for this award. Major Capers, of course, he lives in Jacksonville, North Carolina, but this man has attachments to us right here. When he finished with the Marine Corps, he moved. Well, he didn't move, but he stayed in Jacksonville, but he would come every day to work to Jefferson Pilot, where he worked for them. And then through time, he decided he wanted to do something else, and he decided to give us a little bit of entertainment. He bought himself a radio station, and I think he kept that for like 5 years right here in Wilmington. So he's part of us. The major, after receiving all these injuries from his war, unfortunately, when he retired from his radio stations and decided to spend time now with his son and his wife, his son was shortly thereafter taken from him due to a medical procedure that went badly. And then 3 years after that, his wife of 50 years, Dottie, died of cancer. And I will add that that may have been through the contaminated water of Camp Lejeune. So the Major Capers has no immediate family at home anymore. There's just a tremendous amount of his Marine Corps brethren and others who constantly stay with him. I know that this is Medal of Honor Month, and I certainly appreciate what you just did before us in recognizing all of our Medal of Honor recipients from New Hanover County. I appreciate it every time I go out to Veterans Park. And of course, tomorrow is our Medal of Honor Day. So we're very, very happy that you are having us here today, the day ahead of that. I want to thank my friend and your commissioner, Rob Zappel, for the willingness to bring this resolution that we could get. And I want to thank you for all that you've done for us veterans from this county in the past today and in the future. We greatly appreciate it. And on behalf of the good Major, we would like to present something to you as well. Would it be okay to approach?
Absolutely. It's all yours. We'd like for you to come up and get a picture made too. Very nice. Take a look. You can come up here. We need to get
It's very nice.
Mr. Chairman, do y'all mind adopting the
I think
resolution?
we need to make a motion and a second and then
Second.
vote on it.
all in favor, yeah.
Aye.
Okay. Can you imagine getting shot and done? Just once would be enough for me. You're next.
So, Mr. Chair, while we're waiting, I'd like to say, you know, it's sacrifices like Major Capers and these other gentlemen we heard today that gave us the rights that we have today in this free country. So, you know, it is just so valuable that we have folks that are willing to put their life on the line every day like that for our way of life here in the United States of America. So, thank you all so much. And, it's very emotional. I can see that out there.
Okay, next is consideration of National Senior Nutrition Program Awareness Month proclamation. Ms. Walker?
Yep, I'm going to go ahead and just read it, and then we can talk after. National Senior Nutrition Program Awareness Month proclamation. Whereas since 1972, the National Senior Nutrition Program has funded local agencies and organizations to serve home-delivered and congregate meals that help ensure older adults have opportunities to stay healthy, independent, and connected. And whereas more than 10 million older Americans face hunger each year, and food insecurity disproportionately impacts older adults with limited ability to obtain food or prepare meals. And whereas local senior nutrition programs help older adults access healthy foods, nutrition screening, education and counseling, social opportunities, and other supports that encourage well-being. And whereas the Nutrition Services Program at the Senior Resource Center are integral part of New Hanover County by providing sustenance, connections, education, and so much more to our older community members, especially those most vulnerable to chronic health conditions and social isolation. And whereas the Nutrition Services Program is having a positive impact on our community and its senior members, as demonstrated by a 115.7% increase in home-delivered meal clients over the last 10 years, and 342.3% increase in congregate nutrition clients over the last 10 years, and 75% of congregate nutrition clients who agree the Senior Resource Center increases their ability to access food, and 89% of home-delivered meal clients report that nutrition program has improved social connectivity to people and services, and 95% of congregate clients report that nutrition program has improved social connectivity to people and services. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the New Hanover County Board of Commissioners that March 2025 will be recognized as National Senior Nutrition Program Awareness Month in New Hanover County, adopted this day, the 24th day of March 2025. William E. Rivenbark, Chair. Want to go ahead and pass that first before we start? I make a motion that we pass this proclamation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's all yours.
Good morning, New Hanover County Commissioners, and thank you for adopting this resolution this morning. My name is Paige Lundberg, and I have the honor of serving our community at the Senior Resource Center as the Nutrition Services Program Manager. Through nutritious meals, social connection, and access to a wide range of essential services and resources, this program has a profound impact on the lives of many older adults. So I stand before you filled with gratitude as we come together to recognize this incredibly important cause. The Senior Resource Center's nutrition program has grown to play a pivotal role in supporting the health and independence of older adults in our community, especially when it comes to something as fundamental as nutrition. On average, we serve up to 1,200 clients each day through congregate and home-delivered meals. In fiscal year 2024, approximately 260,000 meals were served from the senior nutrition program. With the dedication of staff and volunteers, our work happens at 3 designated nutrition sites strategically located across the county, as well as on the 40 home-delivered meals routes we operate each day. Access to healthy, balanced meals is a cornerstone of healthy aging and ensuring seniors live with dignity, health, and comfort. With your continued support, we are building a community where seniors feel valued, nourished, and cared for. Thank you for your adoption today and your ongoing support that directly improves the health and well-being of our older adult residents.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to say-
Mr. Chair? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I would like to say, for all you folks out there that have not been to the senior center, I got the pleasure of a tour, and it was very, very awesome. I think we're supposed to spend some time there in the next week to have lunch. I encourage everybody in the community to go out there and see what our senior center is doing and the positive impact it's having on the community, and to support anything you can to do with the senior center, because it's such an important part of our community, and I think maybe even rare in some circumstances. So if the community wants to, or if they're curious and they want to know more or want to contribute or anything they can do, please go visit the center.
Commissioner Zeppel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to agree with Commissioner Walker's comments, but go just a step further. Paige, it's my understanding you have a congregate lunch there every day.
Yes, that's correct.
And if I'm 55 or older, could I come down and join?
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm just,
Oh,
yes, I
60 or
am,
older.
Mr. Chair, but I'm just saying this for the benefit of those who might be watching. If you'd like to see, check out the fabulous services of our Senior Resource Center any day. What time does it start, Paige, lunch?
It's 60 or older, and at our main location, we have an 11 o'clock and a noon lunch, and then we have a noon lunch in Carolina Beach and an 11:15 lunch in Castle Hayne.
So if you're out there and you
Yes.
want lunch, drop on by. You got to be 60 though.
Yes,
So
60, but it's no cost.
No cost.
Yes,
And 5 days a week.
yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's terrific. Do you need to be a New Hanover County resident?
No,
So if you're 60 in this area and want lunch, come by the Senior Resource Center.
yes,
Thank you, and thank you for the fabulous work you
Absolutely.
do every day.
yes,
And we'll
thank
see
you
you
all.
later this week.
You want to get a picture, maybe?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Okay, next is presentation of the 3990 Independence Boulevard Tract Historical Background, Preservation, and Conservation Consideration by Mr. Roger Zhu.
Good morning. It's a good day to be here. Congratulations to the county staff for all their work, and also to be here to see the heroes of the day as well. Good morning, Chairman Rivenbark, Vice Chair Pierce, Commissioners Scalise, Walker, and Zappel, and Manager Coudray. One of the things that is very important to us in Wilmington and New Hanover County is our natural areas. New Hanover County is the second smallest county in the state and the sixth most densely populated in the state. We certainly need some space for the people that are moving here and for our businesses and for the community at large. One of those needed green spaces could possibly be 3990 Independence Boulevard. But I'd like to add to that green space idea by showing you a vision for the land that would be so much more for our county and the city of Wilmington. It could be a rich educational site, a STEM training site, community gathering spot. It could be a recreational site and even perhaps a satellite location for the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Office and Soil and Water to provide an increased array of agricultural and forestry information to our area, not just our area, but the surrounding counties. And of course, this natural area could provide many physical and mental benefits to the community. So let me summarize a few of those things. This is a map in 1993, and this shows you the area of Barnard's Creek. And this picture I'm going to show you as a follow-up, these yellow arrows are going to be in the exact same spot on the follow-up picture. The star is the Independence Boulevard site, Flossie Bryan. And you might see some other areas in here that you recognize, such as the golf course at Echo Farms. That used to be a dairy farm as well. And if you look at this today, it's a tad different. And one of the things in looking at this area that you notice is the area that's remaining is the star and a couple of surrounding Cameron properties. It's the only green space really left in that area that's not developed. And I think this is one of the things that we need to be thinking about as we look at continued growth and development in our county and in our city, is that there is opportunities to be had. This is what was looked at last year as a possible development scenario on the site. It was looked at to be a 580-acre unit complex and add a lot of traffic to the area. And in looking at it, there's nothing wrong really with development. It's whenever you look at development in an overall perspective, though, we need places that people can go to. We need places that people can enjoy and be able to, develop themselves, their students, the young people, to be able to go to a place that is not just development, but that provides opportunities for people. And this is the site that was mentioned a couple of times last year in the Port City Daily and in the Wilmington Business Journal. Commissioner Scalise said it seems like a golden opportunity for us to preserve and extend green space. City Councilman Waddell said, we want green space. The time to act is now. Land is finite and so is this moment. Let's seize it for my children and yours. So let's take a look at this area and see what is possible based on what people have said in New Hanover County and the city of Wilmington. The city of Wilmington did a survey. It was published in 2024. And what it said is people want and deserve natural areas. And two of the things that was highlighted for the most part was growth and development and traffic congestion as the two biggest issues facing us. And within that, recognizing that some of the ways to mitigate some of that is to have natural areas. And the county strategic plan itself identified that natural areas in the environment should be protected, and that community well-being and environmental stewardship are critical now and in the future. So I'd like to mention a couple of things along these lines that may be helpful. So the property could be used as a beneficial way to maintain green space. You could be looking at having some walking and biking trails, even a little bit of stormwater management. But I'd like to provide a little bit more of an aspirational vision, and one that would incorporate some of the original vision for the property, that provides numerous educational and engagement opportunities for all of our schools and all of our community. And so these are the things I'd like to briefly show you. This is a cut-down version of an hour-long presentation. So these are things just to highlight, and I invite any questions, as I finish about these. One of the things that we could do is look at agriculture and farming, agrivoltaics, as I'll explain in a second, forestry, or silviculture as we call it, old field succession and biodiversity enhancement, water and stormwater monitoring and floodplain protection, and of course nature trails and passive recreation. But the benefit of this is not just for people to go to and see it and walk around, it's actually engagement. Engagement that would include the food bank, parks and recreation, farmers, the community, students, soil and water, the arboretum. So in looking at this area in 2006, you can see in the middle picture there that this area is starting to revert to a forested area, because that's what old fields do when you leave them fallow. And you can see on the right-hand lower side, 2019, the area is mostly forested. So what does this area actually have potential for? Well, as I tell people, I'm a geologist, and I think most of you know that. And what you have to do is you look at the soil and you look at what's underneath to make sure of what you can do. The red outline is the tract of 60 acres. And what you see in the middle of that area is high ground. That's really good for farming, good for longleaf pine trees and others. And surrounding that upland area, which is right in the middle, would be areas that would be the headwaters of the creeks. Those would be these hydric soils, these wetland soils that are so important to us in this county. So what could we do on some of those upland areas? Well, this is a potential original use and continued vision of the original owner of this property. This is a farm up in Pender County. It's Redbeard Farms. And this is a venue that would be such an opportunity for students and the community to participate in, both in food banks as well as in farmers markets and others. We could even have plots of land that school kids and schools could adopt within this area to actually learn more about and be connected to nature. I always like to tell people, and I know some of you have heard me say this before, that one of the things wrong with this country is that we no longer are connected with nature. And people who are not connected with nature think that your food comes from the grocery store and your energy comes from the furnace. And they also think that water comes from the tap. They all come from nature, and it's nature's benefits that we really need to look at. Another thing that we could do is look at agrivoltaics. And in fact, I'm talking with several people about some of this, in fact, one this afternoon. It's increased energy opportunities and also learnings, STEM education possibilities here. Agrivoltaics basically combines agriculture with putting in solar panels. Lots of benefits to this. You can reduce groundwater pumping and water use. You can provide job opportunities. You can reduce carbon footprint. You can provide food, diversified income in looking at all these. And lo and behold, STEM education as well. And by the way, just to let you know, you could have 20 panels, you could power a home in this area. We could power everything that we would need in this area with just solar panels for this area. And of course, one of the things that's really important to and built the South is forestry. The longleaf pine is the tree that built the South. We're sometimes forgetting about the value of nature in our areas. I've been taking students down into Ev Henwood Preserve in Brunswick County for the last 12 years planting longleaf pines. And these are just some of my students, but also people with Osher Lifelong Learning from Sierra Club, from Alderman, and many other locations that have gone down to help us plant trees to make a better place. And this one I'm very proud of. This is a young person that came down and helped us plant during one of those planting events. And they were so excited. Well, that's what he is in 2016, and came back 9 years later to see his tree that he had planted. That connection that we have with nature is so important. You can't undersell that, you can't undervalue the value of that. I grew up on a farm, I can tell you, it stays with you. This is a picture of some of those we planted. This is a 12-year growth, and then a second batch that we put as understory. And understanding how those grow, how you manage, how you restore forest is really important. The other thing that we have so much importance of here is management of those, like with controlled burns. And that's another thing that we do. And of course, another piece that you look at, you can see the picture on 2007 of the brine tract, and you can see some field areas and forests moving in, and then in 2013, it's all forested. Well, that's what happens with fields. In every biology and ecological textbook, what you'll see is something called old field succession. When you let a field go fallow, it will grow into grasses, then shrubs, then trees, and ultimately a climax forest. And a climax forest around here is oak hickory, unless you have repeated fires, which is longleaf pines. And so one of the things that we could have here is showing people the natural system of things, which is so important to look at plant communities, wildlife, biodiversity, and carbon sequestration. And of course, another thing, since this is at the headwaters of Barnard's Creek, an important creek for our area, understanding water quality and testing. You guys have it done every year in New Hanover County in the city of Wilmington. I teach people this all the time in my classes. They really love to go out, and this is something valuable. I'm on the board of Soil and Water. You know, this is something we all need to understand and know something about. And let me just show you one more picture. There's the brine tract. This is looking at the 100-year and 500-year floodplain. The blue is the 100-year floodplain. The yellow is the 500. You see all those houses? All those circles are houses. All those houses are within this risk zone for flooding. And you can see some that are even in the 100-year floodplain. Anything that you can do to mitigate runoff, stormwater runoff, but also flood conditions is positive for the county and certainly positive for these guys as they would be looking at this area. So understanding this would be very important to us. And of course, the trails and just understanding nature is really important. I took this picture over on the Cameron property. I'm standing in Sunnyvale Road there on the opposite side. So there's some wildlife still there. So passive recreation opportunities for wellness is really very important to us. And then we can look at the bottomland areas as well and adjacent wetland nature trails and hike areas that we can really appreciate the value of hydric soils, which, by the way, we have a lot of in this county, that we all need to understand and know what their role is in development and the hesitation or limits that should be looked at for stormwater management with those. So I just say the studies all point in one direction. I can show you thousands of articles that says nature is not only nice to have, but it's a have to have for physical health, mental health, and even cognitive function. I will add educational benefits and also community enhancement as well. It's natural capital, as we call it. You can't undervalue the natural capital that's provided by nature for all of us in many different ways. So the pitch is that New Hanover County is highly developed and developing more. All these yellow areas are ones that we have as valuable sites, such as Masonboro Island and Carolina Beach, of course, Hanover Pines, Smith Creek Park, the UNCW Forest, and the Arboretum that we have. But there's also areas that we need to have some other areas of natural systems too. Sidbury area is growing rapidly. The Sledge Forest area, I'm sure you all know about that. We've been looking at the West Bank, and by the way, I really appreciate the Commission's efforts to identify and work with folks to be able to look at conserving some of these areas. And I'll lastly get to that big star down there, that green one, which is what we're kind of dubbing Legacy Park for the 60 acres. Maybe that could be yours and our legacy going forward. So let me just end with a couple of things. I think this could be a satellite location for the Arboretum and Soil and Water. We could teach agriculture, we could teach forestry, we could teach water, we could teach connection to nature. And Wilmington and New Hanover County in all community surveys and strategic plans have repeatedly identified and asked for more green space, smarter development, and better traffic management. You have responded and had positive statements relative to these, and I do appreciate that. The strategic plan identifies that. Follow through is essential, though. We need a dedicated group for land acquisition and improvement. People came here for many reasons, and one of the top, if you ask them, is for our beautiful natural areas. And even those who are coming here for business, recognition of our outdoor areas for recreation and education are really top of mind. But with the loss of land, increased traffic, and clear-cut areas, concern for this beautiful area has become increasingly dire. If lands could be obtained, the community and businesses, I am confident, will step up to help fund, operate, and manage some of these areas. I would really like to ask that the county and city work together to develop a way to actually preserve some of these areas. And we need to provide for the future of our county and our residents and our students of today and tomorrow. And one way to do that is to work as hard as we can to preserve some of the areas of our county, not for development or business, but for the community and schools. And I think in doing so, you will actually help development and business at all times going forward. So I would just like to thank you for your service that you guys have done. I'd also be happy to try and answer any questions that you may have regarding this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Roger, thank you for that wonderful overview of that, and thank you for your continued work throughout New Hanover County. I know you've spoken out on a number of issues. You mentioned the Western Bank issue and this, and Sledge Forest, and many others. You yourself are a valuable resource here in New Hanover County, and I thank you, because you do have a day job over at the university, but you seem to make time for this and certainly open our eyes and the community's eyes to what is all around us. And sometimes we literally can't see the forest through the trees. It's really helpful, and thank you for making time to come here and to show this to our entire New Hanover County through the television as well as this presentation. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, sir.
Just a comment. Thank you again for always being here when we need that kind of information. And I think it's clear that our community wants to see open space and parks. And I'm a parks girl, I love it myself. I mean, as soon as we opened Hanover Pines, it was full. So it shows that our community wants that. They want to use it. They want to spend family time and get out there with their families and walk and be healthy. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So thank you for presenting today. And I know that we're going to hear from our fellow commissioners.
Go next. Do you want me to go?
Thank you, Roger, and thank you everyone who came out to support Roger. I know that you all had other things that you could have done today, but it's important to be here. Like all the green that everybody's wearing. Roger, I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Well, don't leave without me saying something. I agree with you very much about connecting to nature again. I'm a big-time gardener. I'm a backyard gardener, and I compost. There are a lot of things that students can learn, a lot of things we can learn about getting back to nature. And I love your ideas about the agricultural side of it when it comes to growing food and how we can sustain ourselves. I love Airly. We don't need Airly too as much as we need what you're suggesting that we have. So anything that connects kids to nature, and we can start really early with kids and get them on good habits and being very cognizant of like what they can do to contribute to the conservation of, not only nature at large, but what they can do themselves to be responsible and figure out how they can perhaps grow their own food as well one day. I love that connection, and I appreciate all the work you put in for this community. And I think you are like one of our gurus, so I hope you never go away. I hope you're always going to stick with us and maybe see this through with us. Last thing I will say is, you know, I know it, my relatives grew up in the UK. I shared this with the folks here, and they are in the UK they understand space because they don't have any. And the only way they could connect back to nature is having little allotment places where they could grow food and they could be part of nature and have their own gardens. And we're getting to a point where we're running out of space, and I guess I agree with you, we need to save it as much as we can. And so I am looking forward to working with you as much as possible to make this dream a reality. Thank you.
I'd love to. I would love to do that. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is committee appointments. First one is New Hanover County Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee.
Mr. Chair, I ask that we re-advertise for this application and vacancy.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is New Hanover County Board of Adjustment.
Laura King.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to nominate Kristen Freeman.
Okay, we'll go on the first one.
Can you say yours again?
Laura King.
Laura King.
I don't know any of them. Is there a second on Laura King?
I'll second Laura King.
Sorry, I nominated Kristen Freeman. Oh, is there a second on that? I misunderstood you. Go ahead.
I'll second Laura King.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Laura King it is. New Hanover County Health and Human Services Board.
Mr. Chair, I'll nominate Alyssa Thompson.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
New Hanover County Non-County Agency Funding Committee.
Mr. Chair, I'll nominate Tyler Braswell.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And New Hanover County Special Board of Equalization and Review.
Mr. Chair, I spoke with Mr. Craig over the weekend, and he would like to withdraw his application. So
Okay.
in light of that, I would like to nominate the other 7 whose names I'll read. Jason Cole-Clough, Clayton Hammersky, Hector Ingram, Ida Smith, Christopher Stewart, Brad White, and Robert Winkler. I'd like to nominate those 7 and advertise for the vacant 8th position.
Madam Vice Chair, which 3 would you like to be alternates and which 5 would you like to be regular members?
Oh my, okay. So say that again. We need 5 regular members and 3 alternates?
Yes, ma'am.
I will defer if anybody has a suggestion.
Madam Vice Chair, if you would be agreeable to the 5 permanent or regular, excuse me, Clayton Hamersky, Hector Ingram, Ida Smith, Jason Cole-Clough, and Brad White. And the other 2 as the alternates, Robert Winkler and Christopher Stewart.
I second that.
I'm fine with that. Does that work for you, Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's it.
And
So does that leave a vacancy, or should we put one of the alternates?
You've done 5 for the regular, and so you have 1 for an alternate, so we will re-advertise for the alternate space.
Okay, very good.
Madam Clerk, do we need to also nominate a chair?
Yes, sir.
For that, I would nominate Brad White.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I hope he knows he's going to be the chair.
He will by the end of it today.
This is going to be a very important board moving forward with our
Yes.
tax. It's for you folks that are probably listening, this is the board that will look at all of the proposals that people want to protest their valuation for their taxes. So this will be a very important board. I assume you talked with.
Well, I've not spoken to Brad, but I know him to be a very experienced property appraiser and also has a background with this organization.
And I was thinking the same thing about Mr. Ingram. So I guess amongst themselves, if he doesn't want to do it, they can decide.
I would agree.
We will, we will work with legal, but I think Mr. White has served as chair before,
Very good.
so I think we're good on that.
And thank you all for signing up for this board, because it's a tough one. So thank you so much.
Mr. County Manager, you have anything?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. Over here. Okay. So now we come to speaker sign up. You got 3 minutes. It's not 3.5 or 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It's 3 minutes, and that's it. And the first speaker we got today is Steve Hunt.
Good morning, Commissioners in New Hanover County. I'm Steve Hunt. Captain
Mr.
on-
Hunt?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt, this way. Could you please speak into the mic?
I'm so sorry.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Good morning, Commissioners in New Hanover County. I'm Steve Hunt, Captain on Engine 13. I'm here to ask for your help. The people around me are sick and they're dying. This is affecting my crew, my firehouse, and the citizens of Castle Hayne. My attempts to correct it have been met with resistance and decisions that raise serious ethical questions. Consider this group at Firehouse 13 as if they're your family. 10 guys are missing their gallbladder. 20 more have liver issues. 1 has died of liver cancer. Another is trying to stay off the liver transplant list. 10 guys have kidney problems, including cancer, cysts, stones, and tumors. A total of 5 have been diagnosed with cancer so far. Our good friend, Captain Courtney Pageant, who worked Firehouse 13 for 10 years, passed away last year. Several others have taken early medical retirement after becoming too sick to perform. Meanwhile, water tests, air quality results are withheld or shared in part. Environmental testing has been manipulated, such as taping off an AC system to cheat an air quality test, allowing a section of the building to be placed back in service. I followed protocol on reporting health and safety concerns. I went to every link of the chain, from logistics to the health department. When I went outside the county, the first 2 questions I received from the DEQ were, have you reached out to your health department, and have you gone to law enforcement? Let me explain these 2 efforts. The health department's response was that these numbers could mean anything. How do I know you guys aren't spraying dioxins on your day off? This could be a family genetics issue. I challenged Chief Hall and the health department director many times, asking, then why is it only in this firehouse? I received responses that minimized the concern and lacked urgency appropriate for a health and safety crisis. How could this happen? Director Campbell later told me that he was told not to speak to me directly by Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher and Fire Chief Donnie Hall. Meanwhile, experts from Michigan State University, NC State, and Duke Universities confirmed that this cluster of illness at Firehouse 13 is unprecedented. They have also observed that these health concerns extend beyond Firehouse 13 into the community. Now let me share my interaction with the Sheriff Department. I filed a report of criminal negligence because I believe the definition has been met. People are dying and getting sicker and sicker, while management maintains a dismissive approach. When I filed my crime report, it was shut down the first time. I resubmitted the crime report again the following day and learned that Chief Deputy J.A. Hart put out a message to his staff to disregard the reports, that Chief Hall was going to handle it. When I filed my legitimate report of a suspected crime, as was my duty, it seems that J.A. Hart interfered with the process, appeared to coordinate with those named in the report, potentially violating serious laws, ethics, and policies. Within hours, I was called into a meeting and scolded for allegedly misusing the sheriff's crime reporting system. The tone of this meeting was hostile. Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher and Chief Hall came to explain how wrong they believed I was.
Mr. Hunt?
Yes, sir.
Time's up, sir.
Well, thank you, sir.
Sorry.
Would anybody be willing to share their time with me?
I signed up next on the list to speak, but I think everybody's time is better served allowing him to finish versus subjecting you to my emotions. So if you'll allow it, I'd like to give him my time.
What's your name?
Heather Miller,
Okay.
thank you.
Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher and Chief Hall came to explain how wrong they believed I was, expressing how inappropriate my actions were, and tried to convince me that I had really messed up. Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher very confidently asked me, "Do you really think the Sheriff Department investigates us?" End quote. I didn't fully understand her confidence until later, realizing that she said it with the confidence of someone who believed she was beyond accountability. I swore to continue fighting for my people and the citizens of Castle Hayne. I withstood the challenge with resolve, knowing it would not be the last. 10 days later, I met with Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher and Donnie Hall in the Government Center, along with Mark Francolini, Chief of Human Resources. The tone was polite in the introduction and quickly soured. The first thing Lisa Wertzbacher wanted to talk about was my attempt to get help from the Environmental Protection Agency. She had a note detailing a conversation I had had with the EPA. Her and Chief Hall challenged me and tried to paint a picture that I had filed a false report. I explained that I illustrated the steps taken were appropriate and my duty to do so. Assistant County Manager Lisa Wertzbacher implied that I wasn't smart enough to see that the county had done all it was going to do. She quoted, for us, this calls into question your leadership ability," end quote. She went on to explain that I just wasn't able to see things. I defended my position, knowing that her angle was to take my job or my rank. Chief Hall tried to encourage me to admit to filing a false report. Chief Mark Francolini observed and remained neutral. I appreciate that. But he did witness what I believe to be serious violations of law and county policy without intervening. What happened to our core values? Integrity, accountability, professionalism? How do we let protecting dollars become more important than our people? Let me be clear. Unelected management has assumed the role of judge and jury to hide dangerous health and safety concerns from the public. Commissioners, citizens of New Hanover County, we need oversight. We need a state investigation into this gross misconduct. It is time for transparency. It is time for leadership. It's time for accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Next, Peter Batson. Sir? Okay. Adrian Garber.
Good morning. My name's Adrienne Garber. I live here in Wilmington. I was in Home Depot the other day and bought a new hand truck. I went to use it and one of the tires came off, right off the bat. It fell apart. So I took it back. Then later on, what do you know? I found a hand truck in the back of my shed. I had one the whole time. So I told myself, next time I think I need something, go look in the shed in the backyard. Instead of running out to buy something new, I need to stop and take inventory. We are in the fastest growing county in the state. Is that a good thing? Is more people better? Do we get more space with that? I asked New Hanover County to stop and take inventory. Before hurriedly building more and more, maybe we should have a plan that will give us all a better quality of life, like securing more continuous connected green spaces, creating more parks with trees, providing more protection for our own wetlands, stricter than the state's, with larger setbacks, less backfilling, or no backfilling, and protecting sledge forest. What do you know? There's one in our backyard. It's been there the whole time. It's like a fairy tale. only better, because it's real. We don't have to build it. We don't have to plant it. We don't even have to maintain it. It maintains itself. I ask New Hanover County to institute a 5-year moratorium on all permits for parcel number R00900-001-001-000 containing 4,020.96 acres, and parcel R00900-001-002-000 containing 63.02 acres, and rezone all 4,083.98 acres as a nature preserve. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Cindy Gallardo.
Hi, my name is Cindy Gallardo. I live at 4602 Springview Drive. I'm here for the protection of Sledge Forest, Smith Creek, and all green space that are in danger. I'm fighting for Mother Earth. She is crying out, her voice carried on the wind, her sorrow felt in the cracks of the earth and the waves that crash upon the seashore. My ancestors, those who walked this very area, those who could not fight for her, are giving me the opportunity to step up and protect her, and thanks for how she nurtured us before. You will call this a development, but in reality, you are stripping and scavenging all that make her whole, all that my mother provides for me, her daughter, with natural healing, no drugs, no alcohol. She is therapeutic. She fills the soul. The Lakota shaman, Black Elk, once said, "We don't have to heal the earth. She can heal herself. All we have to do is stop making her sick." Only when the last tree has died, the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, will we realize we cannot eat money. Sitting Bull said, "Let us put our minds together and see what life we can make for our children." In 2024, 2 white buffalo calves were born, one in Yellowstone and one in Kansas. And the represented in the Native American culture is a warning and a hope. The warning is we need to care for Mother Earth and each other, for we belong to each other. The hope is her children will come together to understand how we could help coexist with all living beings, the trees, the animals, the birds, the insects, for we are all connected. Mother Earth, Father Sky, and the power of the Holy Spirit of the life-giving water. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next is William Flowers.
Good morning, Chair Rivenbark and Commissioners. I am firefighter William Reese Flowers. As of this coming April, I will have had the pleasure of serving New Hanover County Fire for 15 years. In that time, I've watched your firefighters, my extended family, quietly bear the burden of environmental hazards at our stations, too often caused by incomplete testing, ignored reports, or delayed remediation. This isn't isolated. It also isn't a hazard that we signed up for. It's a systemic, avoidable, and it is systemic and avoidable and deserves your immediate attention. Today, I respectfully request that you establish a Fire Station Environmental Safety Oversight Committee by formal resolution reporting directly and exclusively to this board to ensure its independence, transparency, and effectiveness this committee must have. Direct quarterly reporting to you, the commissioners, ensuring accountability without administrative filtering. Full and timely access to current historical and future fire station environmental tests, remediation plans, and reports. At least one independent citizen member without ties to county or fire administration, reinforcing impartiality and public confidence. Mandatory public posting of all committee findings, meeting minutes, environmental tests, and recommendations on the county's website. Explicit whistleblower protection, ensuring any firefighter or county employee reporting environmental or safety concerns to the committee is shielded from retaliation. Any allegation of retaliation should be independently investigated with findings presented directly to you. Dedicated administrative support and necessary funding, so its work is never obstructed through neglect or delay. This isn't about pointing fingers. It's about building trust. This committee gives firefighters a genuine voice in their safety, ensures independent oversight, and restores transparency for our community. I ask that you make a motion and formally establish this committee. It's an achievable, powerful step towards meaningful accountability and tells every firefighter clearly and unmistakably that New Hanover County prioritizes their health and safety. I have a proposal memo. I don't know who to give it to, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chris Geary?
Good morning. For all of you that don't know me, my name is Chris Geary. I'm the president of the New Hanover County Professional Firefighters Association. I'm also here today to speak about the safety issues and health concerns at Fire Station 13. As you've heard, we have numerous firefighters who are sick, some battling life-altering illnesses. The concerns we are raising are not hypothetical. They're real. They're happening right now. As Steve mentioned, major universities and federal agencies are investigating this because they too recognize the severity of what's happening. We're not willing to let this go, no matter how much county management or the health department tries to downplay it. Simply telling us that the county is looking into it or we should reach out to the state about regulations is unacceptable. We know the facts. The filtration system currently in use has been proven ineffective compared to reverse osmosis. You all just received a letter from the IFF, from an actual doctor, from an actual scientist stating those facts. We're currently building a new firehouse. We're using the same exact filtration system in that new firehouse. This is not a mistake. This is just repeating, or this is repeating the same mistake again. Let's be clear, New Hanover County has $100 million in their fund balance. There's also over $1 billion from the sale of the hospital. The idea that we don't have the money to provide municipal water to Castle Hayne is simply not true. This isn't just about the firefighters, it's about the entire community. Their water is also contaminated. I invite each of you to visit Station 13, speak to the firefighters that are sick. We can set it up. You all have my contact information. I can set that up. You can hear these real concerns from these people. I imagine the versions of the stories that you're getting are very watered down. They're not actually what's going on. We can set this up to talk about it. It's not a question of if one of these firefighters are going to die from cancer related to this. It's just a matter of when. And when that moment comes, I'll be the one kneeling in front of their family, handing them the Medal of Honor for their sacrifice. When I do that, I ask all of you to stand with me. Look their crying families in the eye. Tell them we're working on it. Maybe that'll make them feel better. I doubt it. This is your moment to act, not later, not after another firefighter gets sick. We need action. We need it now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Karen Stein.
My name's Karen Stein. I live at 137 Avant Drive in Wilmington, and I moved here a little over a year ago with my husband. We retired here. And less than 3/4 of a mile away from us is Smith Creek Park Preserve, and I know you've all heard about this. I personally found it to be one of the best things about my move here. I love the outdoors. I love to hike. We have dogs now. I can take them for walks. I get outside every day. I moved here from Rochester, New York. It's really cold in the wintertime, and we don't get outside as much. Here, I've been able to walk through that park, through the woods, find peace of mind, and it's a gift, it's a joy. One day, there was a man standing at the foot of the trail adjacent to Clearwater Preserve, which is another housing development. And I asked him if he was lost or if he had a question. He said, no, we're going to develop this. And I said, what do you mean develop it? And he said, well, we're going to not going to develop it, we're just going to pave the trails. And I said, that doesn't need to be done. It's fine just the way it is. And then I found out there was a plan, indeed, to pave the main trail around that preserve, Smith Creek Park Preserve. I've since walked the trails since the flags have gone up and the markers for where they're going to cut down trees, 8 feet off of the trail. You're going to cut down all those trees. There will be no shade and on a blacktop. That you're not going to have people coming there to walk. It's going to be too hot in the summer anyway. I'm just appalled. I was told, or I read, that there was a survey done by the neighbors, you know, the neighboring communities. I'd like to know why I didn't get one, and if any of my neighbors got one. No one asked us, and I'm really, really pissed. It makes me sick inside that you're going to do this. It is a preserve. It should be left natural. The idea that you want to pave it to let bicycles go down those trails and whatever other, you know, bicycles, scooters, are they going to be motorized? You know, this is a natural preserve.
Ms. Stein, your time's
Leave
up.
it.
Fieldstein.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm Phil Stein. I'm married to Karen Stein. We live right around the corner from the entrance to Smith Creek Park that's currently being worked on. And I understand that trying to slow this project down or stop it is an exercise in futility. But going forward, I just wanted to ask you all if you would, you speak as though you understand the value of green space. And as previous talks here have mentioned, it's important. And as city commissioners, I understand that you need to balance the growth that comes with this influx of New Yorkers like myself with the preservation of green space, but this strikes me as an unforced error. It's a beautiful, beautiful space. For any of you who don't go there regularly, we do. We walk there, we walk our dogs there, we walk each other there. And I was just it wasn't a month ago that I was running down the trails, are sand trails covered with pine needles through a pine forest that's absolutely pristine. There are all kinds of lizards, several species of snakes. I've counted 15 different species of mushrooms. There's wild persimmons. It's really a beautiful space. And running down through it reminded me of when I had been running on the Olympic Peninsula through the rainforest. And it was really it was like one of those moments where you just think, God, this is fabulous. And then the next day, literally the next day, I heard what was being done. And now there's a fence across it, and we can't walk our dogs there, and it's going to be paved. And I see we do go down to the lake, and there is asphalt that goes around the lake, and it's ironic that trees are being planted there to replace the trees that had to be knocked down to put that there. And it's like, if you have $2 million extra to spend on something, it just seems like for county development, there are other more urgent issues. And again, I would urge you going forward to please think more carefully about what you do with our green spaces. I guess that's all I have to say. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stein. Lyndon Jones.
Hello, happy Monday. I can't help but notice how it's so quick for people's eyes to glaze over when we talk about green spaces, right? Put our hand under our head and we're a little bored of the topic. All of these things are connected, just like our firefighters are facing pollution, just like our green spaces are being threatened. I'm here to talk about Sledge Forest, specifically 4,000 acres of untouched, beautiful, beautiful trees. Cypresses as old as 350 years old. Do you know any apartment complexes that have stood that long? No. Do you feel life and breath when you walk into a freshly painted apartment complex? When you walk under the heat of black pavements? When you feel the grass on a golf course taking up all of the water in this area? I also want to go back to Roger, wonderful man who has left us now, but talked about how when we get flooding in these houses that are already here, we need plants, we need trees, we need soil to soak this up. There is no man-made device that can help us with that. There is no man-made way to make it possible. When we live on the coast where we shouldn't really build anything anyway, where we should be feeling the air, where we should be seeing under the trees. Taking Sledge Forest, we cannot get it back. Again, this is the second smallest county in North Carolina out of 100 gorgeous, beautiful counties. As we know, many people retire to North Carolina all the way across it, east to west. I'm a North Carolina girl, born and raised, and as a child, I put my feet in the sand of the wetlands and the coast, from the Tar River to the ocean and everything in between, and I'm here to tell you that we do not grow up talking about growing up in an apartment. We do not grow up talking about playing in the hot pavement after school. We cannot heal ourselves in the air-conditioned, blue light television rooms. We cannot feed ourselves with money. So I ask you as a county and as a people to wake up and see, if we do not protect this land, it will never be protected. Because let me be clear, the people who profit off of this will be dead when the earth is too hot to live on. The people who make their money on this do not care if there are trees. The same people that hold their plastic bottles and wear their polyester clothes do not care if we have a place to hum and sing and dance and put our toes in the sand, and we all have that right. So I ask you to wake up, and I remind you the words of the Lorax, not just that I speak for the trees, but that a tree falls the way that it leans, and I would be very careful which way you lean.
Thank you, ma'am. Carrie McClernand.
Hello, my name is Kiri McClernand, and I own a home in Brittany Lakes neighborhood, which is very close to Smith Creek Park. And I am here to vehemently protest this pavement that is happening, vehemently. So, we've heard a lot of amazing things about the power of green spaces that we clearly do not have enough of in this county. It is clearly a priority for our citizens that these green spaces are preserved. And I understand this is a park that you're trying to develop right next to a park that already exists, parking lot right next to a parking lot that already exists. Why? Why are you paving nature trails? These are an incredible resource, and you cannot unring that bell once it has been rung. One of the things that I have heard from several people that sit up in front of me, so the very few comments that I've seen about this project have been about accessibility. Well, let me tell you a little bit about accessibility for people with disabilities like myself. Walking on pavement is hard for me. I may look young, but I've already had spine surgery at this age. I have very bad joints. There's nothing I can do about it. But you know what I can do? I can walk on soft trails. With this gone, I'll have to drive over a half an hour. I go there every day with my dogs. And you're gonna take this away from us. I'm clearly upset. I'm clearly passionate. But what are we thinking when we pave over our nature? When we take away the watershed that we live in? Where does that water go? You know how much each tree can hold? So much. And yet we are continuing to contribute to the flooding issue that is in our area every time you put pavement down. So please, halt the project, listen to the public, open it up for public comment. Please open this for public comment. We do not want this. I, like my wonderful neighbor who's over here, would love to know who you asked about this project, because I surely didn't get asked. And you're taking it away from us. You are paving paradise to put up a parking lot in a city, in a town that has very few areas for nature. I will have to drive 35 minutes now of wasting gas and time in order to get to New Brunswick. 45 minutes to get to Carolina Beach State Park. The only places I can put my feet on the dirt and walk, and you're taking it from us. Accessibility for all of us.
Stephen Axon.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Obviously, I've addressed this issue with you before with you, Smith Creek Park Preserve, and its development as Smith Creek Park Phase 2. Commissioner Zappel said in one meeting, I assume this is data-driven. You have before you that data that the Parks and Gardens Department shared with me. Out of 128 respondents, pretty meager sample size, out of 128, 28 people liked the new pavilion, 20 people wanted more parking, and 18 people wanted paved trails. That's your data. As of today, we have more than 2,225 signatures on our petition to stop this development. I can provide you with that data. It is in front of you right now. There have been hundreds of comments on posts that Save Smith Creek Park Preserve has made on Facebook. Exactly 8 of those have expressed support for this development. I can provide you with that data as well. And I imagine you've seen an email or two. Faced with the facts, you have then moved on to, this is the kind of thing people want. Well, it's not. Of the hundreds of people I've spoken to within the preserve, literally not one single person was aware of this development being proposed and was about to happen, and a handful thought it was a good idea. Yet in 2 recent WWAY and WECT journalism features, the Parks and Gardens Department stated that the public had been properly noticed and public comment sought. The public deserves to see evidence of this, as required by North Carolina Statute 160D, Section 406. I urge you to pause this project until those public comments can be sought and can be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dottie Bentz.
Good morning.
Morning.
Honorable Commissioners and Chair. I'm sorry, I keep getting these texts and phone calls, but I would like to ask that you honor the final wishes of a very dear person and a personal friend of my family, the Crouch family. I was born and raised here. My grandfather came here in 1929. Flossie Bryan was a private duty nurse and helped my grandfather, Dr. Ollie McCray Crouch Sr., who lived at 520 Dock Street, for 7 years after the death of his wife. Folks in town knew him as Old Dr. Crouch, and my dad, Dr. Ollie Crouch Jr., was the younger Dr. Crouch. Flossie was a personal friend of our family, and over the years, as a child, I used to go to her house. And the entrance was not on Independence because Independence wasn't there, but we used to go down the side road to that the church is at Independence and Carolina Beach Road. I used to go there and had wonderful memories of her farmland that is now being considered for development. She had a wonderful hen house and let us pick the eggs, and the farmland which her family farmed stretched out for acres. What a wonderful sight to behold as a child. As a native Wilmingtonian, I'm asking you, please, not to let anyone develop this land. And I'll insert that over the last couple weeks, I've ridden down Independence, and there's development, houses that have been developed on the left. There's a large development right before Flossie's land. And I think there's a tremendous need, and also River Lights. River Lights is not far from this property, and people who live there could certainly enjoy it as a park. Flossie was a wonderful person and extremely generous to deed this land. She didn't have children, but I think that her intent may have been that by having the property made into a park, that she could honor all children. Please let her wishes and her memory be respected, and I respectfully submit this to you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You got anything?
No, sir.
You got anything? Okay. This meeting's adjourned.